Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, remembering the forgotten landing. France's president is joined by his Ivorian and Guinean counterparts in thanking the thousands of African soldiers who fought in Operation Dragoon 75 years ago, helping turn the tide against the Nazis. Also, Big Brother is watching. Opposition voices in Uganda say that they're worried about how a new multi-million-dollar surveillance system will be used. The government says it's to help crack down on crime, but critics of Museveni's regime are sceptical. And anything is possible. A group of small-time filmmakers known as the Critics have met with approval from Nigeria's Nollywood film industry. There's excitement as the teenage producers plan to make a sci-fi movie using only their phones and pretty ambitious special effects. Well, thanks for staying with us. First up tonight, the leaders of France, Ivory Coast and Guinea have met in southern France to honour the African fighters who helped free the country from Nazi occupation. Thursday marked 75 years to the day since Operation Dragoon, which has been dubbed the Forgotten Landing. It was made possible by the thousands of soldiers who left France's colonies at the time to risk their lives in Europe. Have a look.
75 years on, veterans of France's African army still remember their old marching songs. 450,000 troops landed in Provence as a follow-up to the D-Day landings in Normandy. As much as half of the French contingent were Africans from now former colonies. On Thursday, French President Emmanuel Macron was joined by his Ivorian and Guinean counterparts in honouring their shared history.
At this moment, when France, with the aid of her allies, was fighting for her survival and freedom, the sons and daughters of Africa felt called, involved, and shared the absolute and universal call of freedom.
In 2010, after a 50-year wait, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy finally raised African veterans' military pensions to equal those of French troops. Now Macron has made his own overtures to historically overlooked soldiers.
These African fighters, for many decades, did not receive the glory and esteem that they deserved for their bravery. France has a part of Africa within her, and that's why I am today launching an appeal to mayors across France to bring it to life, in the names of our streets and squares, our monuments and ceremonies, the memories of these men who make all Africa proud.
Moroccan battalions, Algerian infantry, fighters from Senegal and across West Africa, all were crucial to France's liberation from Nazi occupation. Commemorating that sacrifice plays a part in helping France move on from her complicated relationship and history of exploitation of her former colonies.
Well, in Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaki has reportedly suffered from lead and cadmium poisoning that may have been caused by shrapnel from bullets. Along with his wife, the leader of the recently banned Nigerian Shia group, the IMN, is actually currently seeing doctors in India after having been temporarily released from prison in Nigeria. His daughter says that his condition could be a result of bullet wounds from when he was shot during his arrest in 2015. Zakzaki lost an eye and more than 300 of his followers were killed by security forces during the raid. The IMN has accused the government of persecution. Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has denied claims that his government may have manipulated poverty statistics. Speaking to young people in Kigali, Kagame dismissed the story as Western propaganda. Data journalists from the Financial Times reported this week that poverty levels were misrepresented ahead of a 2015 referendum that paved the way for Kagame to potentially stay in power until 2034. He took over in 2000, and since then, the country's seen strong economic growth. He's also faced increasing accusations of authoritarianism. Kagame, though, is unfazed.
I bet with anyone that there is actually nothing fake or fabricated or doctored about the progress we are making. I honestly enjoy these fights. And not only in words.
Well, more protests against Zimbabwe's deepening economic problems are due on Friday, but rights activists are worried about the response from the state. A coalition of Zimbabwean human rights groups have said that state agents are behind the abduction and torture of at least 6 people this week. The US and the UK have also expressed concern, even as Harare denied involvement in the abuse. Tensions are on the rise in the country as the shaky economy affects every aspect of life. Our team has spoken to teachers struggling to get by.
Despite the economic crisis, schools are running as normal in Zimbabwe. Shadrach teaches economics at this high school on the outskirts of the capital, Harare. He still prepares his classes, but is losing heart.
Maybe the only functioning side of the economy will become the civil service, but the passion, the spirit isn't there. We're just there for the money, of which the money can't even take you. If the salary, it can't take you for more than a week.
As the currency has plummeted, Shadrach is earning barely the equivalent of 50 euros a month. He has 3 children to feed, so his vegetable patch is proving crucial.
When I joined the ministry, I was driving, but I'm no longer doing that. I sold everything that I had. We are now using sawdust for cooking and wood.
With the power outages sometimes lasting all day, fire is a faithful ally. In its fight against inflation, the government is subsidizing public transport. But Shadrach sometimes ends up waiting 2 hours to get on a bus. Once he arrives in the city center, his queuing continues. For example, at the bank, which never has enough banknotes.
It's just queue. And at the end of the day, you queue for nothing.
Teachers protest regularly against their increasingly destitute state. They want to be paid in US dollars, but union leaders are in a difficult position.
There have been a lot of violence against our members. Personally, I was abducted twice this year, arrested 5 times, which is really despicable, looking at a government which really called itself a new dispensation.
Shadrach is worried. He has nothing left to show for his 11 years of service and doesn't know how he'll support his family if the crisis continues.
Opposition politicians in Uganda are deeply suspicious about a new $126 million CCTV system that's been installed by Chinese company Huawei. Critics of the project say that they're skeptical that the footage will be used to fight crime and that they think that the investment in facial recognition will target opponents of President Yoweri Museveni. Nicolas Chemin has more.
There are now 2,500 surveillance cameras in Kampala and 700 more are expected. Uganda has spent $126 million on the CCTV system, which was supplied by Chinese firm Huawei. The police said it would help catch criminals in a country where the number of homicides last year was 4,500, nearly double the number 5 years ago.
In an event that image is needed even far after some time, our system is such a strong system that the system administrator in the Department of Police Forensic Services, that information can be retrieved and enhance investigations.
But on the streets of Kampala, those who oppose President Yoweri Museveni are concerned.
It's a military government. They're not really up to giving out power just like that. So they have to protect themselves. And one of the ways that they could do that, it's easy to track you as an individual where they are not, through using cameras.
The opposition fears the police will use the system's facial recognition technology to target protesters, especially in the run-up to the 2021 election. This week, an investigation by the Wall Street Journal said Huawei technicians have already helped intelligence officials in Uganda and Zambia to spy on their political opponents. Huawei rejected the allegations.
Nigeria's film industry, Nollywood, is the second biggest in the world. It draws a huge following, and it's not just about big names. Small setups can go a long way. Some teenagers from Kaduna are on the verge of a major breakthrough after whipping up a massive online following with their films that are shot on phones using impressive special effects skills learned through YouTube tutorials.
With nothing more than a green cloth and an old smartphone, these young Nigerians are ready to film their next sci-fi movie. The 8 young men call themselves the Critics. They've already got a large online following, thanks to their impressive use of special effects.
The main aim was not for our stuff to go viral. We just wanted people to see that, okay, there are kids in Kaduna doing something different. So that was just the main aim. So it all of a sudden just happening, it blew our mind.
Last June, the well-known Nollywood producer, Kemi Adetiba, stumbled across their work and tweeted her admiration. She called on her fans to give them a helping hand by sending them money. A welcome boost for the up-and-coming group, restrained by what little means they have.
It takes time to render, like our 5-minute short film called Chase took us like almost 2 days to render, and not only the fact that this system is slow, the electricity where we stay here is pretty poor.
They've already collected more than €5,000 thanks to the fundraising drive. The money is being used to buy more powerful computers, pushing them a step closer to their dream, the conquest of Nollywood.
We want to do something crazy, we want to do something great, something that has not been done before. And from what has been going on now, we believe quite well it's going to happen soon enough.
In a movie industry dominated by romance and wizardry, these youths reckon that science fiction could be the perfect niche. For now, they're working on their next film, but the plot remains a secret.
That is so cool. Looking forward to it when it does come out. Well, that is, though, all the time we have now for Eye on Africa. Thanks for joining us. Do so again. Take care.